there's that bridge that you need to connect between what are you selling and how are the users searching for you. And that's kind of like the baseline audit that you do as well of keywords of what do we want to rank for? What is it that they're searching for? How do we bridge that gap?
Welcome to the Finally Podcast. Today's an exciting day because we have a very special guest with us. Sambrid Pokharel, our SEO specialist, is here to discuss the ins and outs of SEO. Sambrid, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. I feel like I'm always so bad with introductions, but my name's Sambrid, right? I've been in Bottle Rocket since 2019. I started in SEO in 2017, so almost a decade in this field. And 7-8 years with Bottle Rocket. I also do a bit of ads, but obviously I specialize in SEO. And I think when I first started with Bottle Rocket, I still remember like meeting with you and Brett. And I used to start, 10 hours a month? I think that's how I started, right? Because there wasn't a lot on the site then. So 10 hours was more than enough to kind of create that strategy type of thing. Tamika joined, I think, a few months later. Then the team grew, the website grew, and my hours also grew. So with like Bottle Rocket and our own clients, I feel like I'm practically full-time at this point. But yeah, I mean, my main role, my main job is to help brands basically bridge their gap between what they're selling and how users are searching for them. So it's helping them improve visibility and then increase their ROI.
10 years. Have I been hanging out with you for 10 years?
Yes, I was thinking about that too.
10 years is a long time.
Yep.
How did you first get into SEO, and what made you stick with it? Like, what do you love about SEO?
So it's funny because when I first graduated in 2016, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I was completely lost. My teachers and some of my friends would tell me, oh, maybe you should go into sales because they all thought I was outgoing. They're like, oh, just do sales. I hated the idea of sales, like having to travel somewhere else. That in my head, that was what sales meant, right? Just meetings nonstop, talking nonstop, going to different cities. I did not want that. So I call up a buddy of mine while I'm in Oklahoma. He's in Nepal. I just tell him, like, I'm lost. I have no idea what to do. And he tells me, SEO, that's what I'm doing. We had this whole conversation of like, people are always going to search. No matter what, search is going to exist. And as long as people search, competition's going to be there. So chances are people are always going to need you. So that was like the whole conversation. And then he sends me a link to Moz Beginner's Guide to SEO. I think I've shared that with the team as well. I read that. I go take an interview at Chicago for a digital agency, right? I crack the interview and I did not realize how difficult SEO really was initially. Like the learning curve is steep, right? I mean, you've got multiple pillars. You've got on-page, content, technical. So no days were really the same, which kind of kept me on my toes. And I also found it really interesting because it was like, as tough as it was also very interesting. And it also overlaps with a lot of other channels like Google Ads, because when it comes to keyword research, that's what you need as well. Or human psychology, right? In UX, user experience, how the why behind the search, or when a user lands on the page, what actions do you want them to take? Because of those overlaps as well, I felt like I was just learning every day and it just got intriguing. And before you know it, it's been 10 years. So that's kind of like what I really loved about it was just the art and science behind it of understanding the human psychology. What is it that they're trying to search for? What should we create so that we answer the user's query? What actions do we want them to take? And just the overlaps. And before you know it, it's 10 years.
Talking about fake it till you make it.
Absolutely.
You had no idea what you were applying for. And then I believe that was at Rise.
That was at Rise.
And that's how we met you, through Rise. And then I don't think we poached you, but I think it was just serendipitous meeting.
It was. I'd already gone to Canada at that point, right? I'd gone in-house as well. But yeah, it was at Rise, and I actually did fake it. Now that you say it, like it, Dan, that learning curve was steep. I was struggling initially. I was struggling.
Well, that's how I feel still. after working with you for, 8 years or so, like I'm struggling still to understand. And then just as soon as I figure it out, something changes,
Yes.
AI, GEO, et cetera. So talk to me a little bit about when you first came on board at Bottle Rocket. What was the SEO landscape? What did it look like internally? Were you starting from scratch? How bad was our website? Give us the details of how much you've actually done since you started here.
So I remember like you and Brett coming to me like through email and I analyzing the site, and the first thing that stood out was we were doing quite a lot, right? Video production, animation, corporate, all of that, but we had one landing page for it. We had that one service page. That was it. We were trying to map every single keyword to that page. We had very limited content as well. So I think I would say the website from an SEO perspective, it was non-existent because when I checked our Google Analytics, I remember we were getting from an organic perspective, I think it was like 150 or 200 visits a month. So that's
Yeah.
what, like 2,000 to 2,400 visits a year.
Yeah.
I don't know if my math is correct on
No,
that,
well,
but
that's because Brett and I didn't believe in it. We didn't
yes.
understand the power of it, and so the hypothesis was nobody's going to search for a video at the price point at the budget that we work,
Yes.
and we were wrong.
Right? Because we had no content. I still remember. But the best thing about, I still remember this, and I really love Bottle Rocket for this reason because I remember meeting with you and Brett. But the minute I kind of shared that strategy to say, hey, if we want to grow, we need to create new landing pages. The intent just does not match. You guys were on board immediately. There were questions asked, but it wasn't like a pushback of, oh, I don't know if we want to do this. It was, oh, we need this. Let's do it. Initially, I mean, I don't think we were getting any conversions at all, like any leads from organic
Right.
perspective.
Right. And to be fair, it was, early days, and then we sort of stumbled into the pandemic,
Yes.
which was like,
Remember.
open the fire hose and let's go.
Yup.
But the thing that stands out to me about that time is you saying we don't have enough content.
Yup.
And Brett and I being like, what are you talking about? We've got, 5, 6 years of videos.
Yes.
It was a big learning curve.
I remember all of that too. I remember like just analyzing the site, doing the audit, and basically saying, hey, we're missing out on all these opportunities. I think I still have that email. Like, if I'm not mistaken, from 2019 or something, just the bullet points that I gave you guys of like, hey, let's create these landing pages. This is what we're trying to achieve. We're not ranking for any keywords at that point. Like, if I'm not mistaken, maybe it was like video production. Obviously, we were ranking for branded terms. But when we're kind of talking about where SEO was with our website, I mean, we're not ranking 150 to 200 organic visits a month, almost zero conversions. I mean, that was where we were at in 2018, I would say.
Okay, since you're digging into the data,
Yeah.
where are we now?
Oh my goodness, we're doing really well right now. So the strategy changed a bit. Once Tamika got on board, we started creating content, right? Because at that time, our goal was, hey, we're not really visible for anything. People, if they know our name, we're going to show up. Bottle Rocket, boom, our website's there. But what else are we going to show up for? We had no answers to that, right? So that's where content came in because our goal at that point was, let's create that top of funnel. Right? Let's get that visibility out. Let's let Google and others know that we're experts when it comes to video production. So we started really creating that content. And with that, came more traffic, more visibility. And with that came our conversions. Right now, I think we're generating upwards of 3 qualified leads per week when it comes to organic traffic, right?
Yep.
The SEO landscape is kind of changing right now. Traffic is going down, yet our conversions are still going up because we're kind of like pivoting anytime there's a shift that's happening. Because SEO is constantly evolving, but if we're talking about where were versus where we are now, I mean, we're ranking nationally, we're ranking locally. So from a local perspective, we've got it all covered. National is a bit challenging because we're so location based and Google's very much oh, if you're in California, we're going to show you like companies
Right.
around the same area. But I mean, to go from, hey, we've got no branded keywords to now a bunch in the top 10, right? Just
Right.
top five, even you could say. And to getting organic conversions, like qualified conversions, people actually saying, hey, we want this from you. Can you give us a quote? I mean, that's a tremendous step.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would say every time I go to New York, the first
Yeah,
thing I do when I land is search video production, and we're pretty high up there. You know,
there it is.
location services be damned, you know? So
Right?
it is working. It is working. Talk to me about, you know, the first thing you do when you're building an SEO foundation for a brand like ours was that really hasn't invested in it before. Like, where do you begin?
Yeah, I think there are three things I usually do. Like, if it's just the foundation, obviously there's so much more to SEO, but if we're talking strictly foundation, there's practically three that I always look at. Because like when you're building a foundation, I think the temptation of let's do everything at first is always there. And I've made that mistake in the past where it's not understand the client goals or anything like that. It's just, oh, I'm going to start writing blogs. I'm going to start tweaking the metadata, right? The title tag, H1 tag. But I've realized that's not the best approach. When you're setting a foundation, you want to make sure that Google actually knows you exist, right? So the first thing I always do is like a baseline technical audit of are we even indexed on Google? Like if we're a video production firm and Google doesn't even know we exist, what's the point of creating all these landing pages? We've had experiences in the past with clients where like developers will accidentally leave a no index tag on a landing page and Google will not even index it or crawl it so it doesn't show up on search results, right? So for me, a technical audit is a must of can Google see us? Are we indexed? Are we crawlable? That's the first one. The second one is more of a who are we? Right? Because if you haven't really done SEO and you're working on foundation, chances are just like Bottle Rocket, you're ranking for your branded term. But there's that bridge that you need to connect between what are you selling and how are the users searching for you. And that's kind of like the baseline audit that you do as well of keywords of what do we want to rank for? What is it that they're searching for? How do we bridge that gap? Where are we right now? Right? What's that list? And even with that, it's are these commercial intent? Are these transactional intent? Right? You've got the top of funnel, middle, bottom of funnel. Like how many keywords do we have in each funnel? That's the second one. And then the third one would be competitor analysis because you might not be doing SEO, but your competitors sure are, right? So for me, I'll always look at a competitor analysis to say, okay, what is it that they're doing differently? Right? Are there terms that they have a stronghold on? If that's the case, do we even want to try to compete with them immediately? What's the low hanging fruit that we can go after, right? Are there keywords ranking 11 through 20 that we can quickly optimize for so that we gain that visibility just a bit? So just a competitor analysis to say, okay, this is where you're at, this is where we're at, and this is how we're going to differentiate ourselves from you so that we can outrank you. So those are the three I always go for when I'm looking at a foundation of a website.
Does that information come directly out of the discovery process? Like talk us through the discovery process.
Yeah, I think, even with Bottle Rocket, I mean, why I love Bottle Rockets is because like even the discovery process, it's something that I've learned over the years working with Bottle Rocket, right? Because the most important part of our discovery call is understanding the client's goals, right? What they're selling, their business model essentially. They might have products that are doing really well, others struggling, right? They might have one priority, they might not care about the other. So in the discovery process, I think it's just understanding like the resources available to the clients because we can come up with a whole strategy for you. Right? We can do the entire thing, but if you don't have the resources for it, is it really beneficial? So to give you an example, if a client comes to us during a discovery call and we don't have a conversation with them, right? We only ask them their goals and that's it. And we create a strategy and we say, hey, your website needs a revamp. Like you need a complete redesign. If they don't have the resources or the budget for it, is that really helpful? Not really, right? So I think what we do a really great job at with Bottle Rocket is we take that time, that initial call to really understand what the client needs, what's their budget, what can we do with that? And I think we break it down into three different phases in that discovery process to create that strategy. One would be the foundation piece, right? What can we do right now? Are you indexed? Are there any low hanging fruits that we can grow after, just so that you can go from the second page to the first page? Phase two is more about, let's build this authority up now, right? What kind of content do we have? With AI, all of that, people are now asking questions on Gemini, ChatGPT. So the question becomes, okay, what are they asking, right? How do we make sure we now get cited in AI overviews so that users understand that we exist? And then the third one is essentially expansion, right? So it's kind of like a three-phase approach that we take at Bottle Rocket of when in that discovery call, because we don't want, at the end of the day, we don't want to go to the client and then just give them a list of keywords to say, okay, this is what you need to rank for. We want to make sure they have a business roadmap. Like, that's our end goal is, we know what resources you have. We understand your budget. Here's what you can actually do in the next few months to drive that needle. So that's kind of like how we look at our discovery process.
I want to go back to something you said about, if a client can't afford to redo their website or doesn't have the resources to redo their website, that's not going to be part of the plan.
Yeah.
What are some of the most common mistakes you see when you're looking at a website for the first time that businesses make?
There's quite a few. I think the biggest one, and I guess I can use Bottle Rocket as an example as well, right? Back in 2018. This was a mistake that we made with our website as well initially, was the gap in search intent. And what I mean by that was, if users are searching for, let's say, video marketing software, we need to understand the why behind it. Are they looking for information? Are they looking for a product page? What is it that they're looking for? And I think that gap really exists still now, because most people believe they know what users are looking for, but Google has billions of data that they analyze to say, no, this is exactly what they're looking for, right? So I think that gap in search intent is still massive, because we say we want to rank for video marketing software or best video marketing software, but maybe we'll try to map that to the product page, but the intent just doesn't match. That's where we need to come in and say, okay, we need an informational content to kind of answer the user's query. That's one. I would say another one is technical SEO. Before, you do technical SEO to get ahead, right? Now it's like a minimum requirement just to enter the stadium. So before, you could separate yourself through like mobile optimization or schema markups just to get ahead of your competitors. But now with AI overviews, all of that, you kind of need to focus on that as well. And then the other mistake I think I see a lot is aesthetics versus performance. So when it comes to a website, I think sometimes clients focus too much on how much it looks, which is really good. That's also very important, right? But don't ignore the performance part, because you might have a wonderful looking website, but if it takes 10 seconds to load, I'm out of there.
Yeah, I'm laughing because as the client liaison in this conversation, that is what I talk about the most.
Yes.
Is to sort of trust the process. You might have to compromise certain aspects of the site as you're building it visually, but it pays off in the end. And I know that I struggled with it because our site initially was more of a portfolio site. It was more of a site that you'd see for a traditional agency or filmmaker or video production company. But at the end of the day, like we adjusted to keep up with the SEO, and it's paid us back in droves.
And it's exactly that. I think it's trying to find that balance, right? Like, let's make it look nice, but there's also certain factors we want to take into consideration. Like, if someone's searching for us on mobile, what's the point of having all these yes, we want quality images, but if we can compress them, let's do that. If we're placing videos on there, let's make sure it's not taking up too much time to load, right? Let's give the users what they need within that 2-3 seconds time frame. So that's another mistake that I usually see with clients as well.
And I'd say, like, it's probably been 2 or 3 sites down the road, we finally, found a place. I mean, probably on the last site, but this latest site for us, is so beautiful and so functional. I think it takes time and it takes a sort of commitment to work through what that is. You know, I've heard you say a couple of times, or that intent, and purpose really factor into how to approach an SEO strategy. And I got to say, like, as a non-technical SEO person, like that isn't where I would have started because so much of it seems tech driven. That like
Yes.
the concept of purpose of like, who is your client or what is your product or what you want to do doesn't really come into it because I just think like, what's the keyword and let's just focus on the keyword or how many landing pages do we need or really just sort of have a list of ideas that we want people to find, and then you and your minions make it happen. You know what I mean?
With SEO, like you don't need to be like a software engineer or anything like that. You don't need to know coding, right? But just understanding the basics of it, of how it works, like indexation, crawlability, I think that's important. But at the end of the day, I think it does come down to human psychology, right? Understand the context of why a person is searching for a particular term. Put the end users first, always optimize for them, and then let Google do its thing. Sometimes it won't, sometimes it won't.
Right. Well, that's another thing that I'm constantly talking to clients and potential clients about, and it's this idea of having patience, and that a good SEO strategy is not going to happen in a day, a week, or even a month. Like it really does take time to marinate. And the one area of sort of negotiation that I'm always faced with is maintenance. Is follow up and maintenance. And from my point of view, like that's everything, right? Of course we have to set up the foundation correctly as you suggested, and we have to know what we're going for. But if I can't look at the data regularly and react to it, then it's almost in a way, why bother?
It's exactly it. At the end of the day, it's like a gym membership, right? You can't go for 3 months and then say, I did what I needed. No, you have to keep going because your competitors are constantly reacting to what you're doing also. So we have to keep that in mind. Just because you're now ranking in the top 3 or 5 doesn't mean you're always going to be there. Your competitors are going to do everything in their power to outrank you. And kind of like what we're seeing with the evolution of SEO, how it went from keyword density, just, you want to rank for video production? Oh, just mention video production like
Right.
everywhere in the content, to everyone searching in AEO, like answer Chat GPT, Gemini, all of that. The content strategy changes, and that's where maintenance comes in. And like you said, I think that's something that a lot of people don't understand either, because at times you're not always working on something every month, right? Even with Bottle Rocket, it's not like I'm there changing something every month, but it's also, I'm reading up on the latest changes, the latest evolution, so we can react to it. So
Right.
that's where
Right.
maintenance comes in.
I have a new slogan for Bottle Rocket.
Yeah.
Bottle Rocket Media SEO. Every day is leg day.
There it is. I approve of that.
There it is. Painful but true. Yeah.
Right.
What should companies be doing right now to stay visible?
I'll go back to intent again. I think it comes down to the human psychology of understanding the why behind a search term. So if you want to be visible, I think we kind of touched upon this in like our previous questions as well, but it really does come down to search intent, right? Understanding the why behind every query, creating landing pages that answer it. Answer it quickly if you can. Technical SEO, like I said, you do technical SEO to kind of like get ahead of your competitors, right? It's let me optimize the page load time, or let me compress my images, this and that. Now it's just to enter the stadium. You need to be doing that immediately. Make sure that you're already visible. Focus rather than just focusing on keywords, like the keyword volume. I would say to always focus or try to map the query to a marketing funnel. So again, I'll go back to the same example of video marketing software, right? Which funnel does that fit under? Is it top of funnel? Is it more decision making, or someone's asking for What's the cost of video production, or what questions should I ask before hiring a video production firm? We want to understand that stage that they're in so that we can create content that answers their queries, and then we move them down the funnel. I think those are the biggest. I'm sure there's a lot more, but if I would say, like, if you want to gain visibility, it's make your content snippable, which has always been the case too. And this is another thing, like, this kind of goes on, I guess I'm kind of expanding on this a bit. But when we talk about GEO, AEO, you'll notice there's a lot of talks of, oh, if you're not doing this, you're falling behind, which is true. But when you dig a bit deeper and you ask those questions of, okay, what do you need to do to show up on all these generative engine optimizations, the answer is always schema markups. Okay, we've always done that in the past. So nothing's really changed from a foundation perspective, right? Make content snippable. Okay, how do you do that? Oh, header tags. Okay, so something that you've also had to do in the past. H1 tag, H2 tag, H3 tag. Use FAQs. That's something that you've had to do in the past as well. So there's this interesting trend where, yes, everything is really changing and how you show up is vastly different from the past. But the things that you do, I still believe, have remained mostly the same. The strategies may have shifted, kind of like what we just spoke about of directing a user's query immediately, right, on that first paragraph, just so that AI models can take it, snip it, cite us. But aside from that, anything else that you tell me I have to do so that we appear in overviews, AI overviews, it'll most likely be everything you've had to do in the past.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is the more things have changed, the more they stay the same. Which is to say,
Yes.
all this new technology, and we're experiencing it on the video production side and the motion design side, and all this new technology, all this AI present incredible tools. There are subtleties to the way in which we use it, but at the end of the day, our principles and the core way in which we work have not changed.
Exactly.
Those are incredible words to finish this conversation. If you've heard nothing else, don't throw out the foundational stuff. Don't throw out years of wisdom and knowledge for the new flashy thing.
Yes.
Set it up properly and incorporate new technology.
Always keep the end users first as well. Always keep them in mind. End users.
Thank you so much, Sambrid.
Of course. Thank you.